Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Bills Roundtable, brought to you by Picasso's Pizza. Guys, Z-Bot is still sick with a bacterial infection. We are hoping that he will be back on Thursday, Friday, whenever we decide to do it after the holidays. But Kevin and I, we're going to have to unpack everything that we learned from the Cleveland Browns game. Unfortunately, social media and the fan base not feeling too good about this one, but at the end of the day, a win is win, and it's on to Philadelphia. But let's unpack our thoughts on this matchup. Kev, first off, what's going on, man? I hope all the plans are set for the holidays.
Yeah, man, couldn't be better. Bills on a 4-game winning streak. Wish they were on a 4-game winning streak with 20 points per game average margin of victory, but sometimes you win by 3, sometimes you win by 5, sometimes you win by 10. Just kind of the way this puppy goes. The Bills only had 50 offensive snaps yesterday, the lowest of their season. I mean, unfortunately, when you turn the ball over on downs twice, you're only gonna put up 23 instead of 33. So ultimately, The Bills could have kicked field goals if they felt like it. We would have yelled at them for that. So at some point, I'm feeling pretty good. Survive in advance, get the AFC win, and you move on to the Eagles game, which we talked about last week. If both teams win, well, what are we gonna do? It's a very interesting scenario that these two teams are both facing, where 92% likelihood the Eagles are the 3 seed in the NFC playoff bracket. So how all out do they go, knowing there's not a ton of gain there? So it's a really interesting week, but all you can do is talk about Bills still run the ball efficiently, still have a weapon group of tight ends. They still have a really efficient offensive line who shut out Garrett. I don't care about the half sack where he was the closest, where Josh fell on his own feet. That doesn't count to me. That should be a nobody. Just like I think they said on the broadcast, it should be a no sack. So, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, man, me too. And you know what? Like, I feel like most people just focus on the negatives here, but I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on a theory that I had. It was kind of funny because Shedeur Sanders, 20 out of his 29 passing attempts were checkdowns. And funny enough, 20 of his completions were checkdowns, right? And right out of that. So, like, that's precisely what he was doing. We knew going into this game that Sean McDermott was probably about to run a lot of deep zone concepts. I think Sean McDermott, in my opinion, on the defensive side of the football, was turnover hunting, like, for the most part. He wanted him to make mistakes. Shedeur Sanders just kept on taking that check down immediately. And I think based off of the quality of opponent, I feel like Sean McDermott and this defense didn't even necessarily feel the need to adjust. Hence why we kept on seeing Shedeur Sanders so consistent in that check down era, if you will, right up until the end of the game by itself. So was this, in your eyes, the defensive game plan going into the game? And based off of the opponent, was that why we didn't really see many adjustments all the way up until the very end? Was this just kind of like, okay, it's a rookie quarterback, he can do all this, I trust our offense to get going?
Yeah, I mean, Sean McDermott was a 13-4 against rookie quarterbacks. We've gone through the 4 losses in the past. You got a win game in there. You got Sam Darnold his rookie year. You got Trevor Lawrence when he threw for 100 and something yards, and then a 9-6 game. I mean, you don't have much issues with the way that he coaches in these games. He does want them to make mistakes. I mean, he leads to 2 interceptions and 3 sacks, and that's exactly what he got yesterday out of the two rookies over there. So it just comes to a way where they don't think that they're going to end up being able to beat you. That's just how it comes. And if it's a premier flight best rookie quarterback to play, always those present challenges. But Bo Nix last year in the playoffs, same thing. Like, the Bills weren't very efficient on offense. They weren't the greatest on D, but you'd argue that after their opening drive touchdown, I believe the Bills stopped them pretty efficiently from there. Like, you'd like to see them stop somebody on an opening drive there, but they ultimately didn't feel too concerned. If you look at the drive chart, Dan, like, it just wasn't overly concerning as maybe it felt like it was, maybe as you're like really watching it emotionally. But from that touchdown, they threw an interception. They got stopped and kicked a field goal, another punt, turnover on downs before the half, interception. Then they got the touchdown. Then they got sacked and kicked a field goal, 4 and out, and a punt to end the game. So,
it definitely wasn't. And like, I hate that take. Oh my God, we have Shedeur Sanders out there looking like prime Tom Brady. I hate that. I get that all the damn time.
Did a negative EPA. He did not.
And so regardless of any time like that, you see a quarterback just make a completion, besides the fact that it's behind the line of scrimmage or just a 2-yard dump off pass. But like how I looked at it too, minus that tripping call on Matt Milano, and whether or not that we want to argue that that was truly a tripping call, I suppose there were a couple of calls in this game that could have went either way, in my opinion. This team would have scored what, like 12 to 13 points, Kev? Minus that tripping call, which is largely a self-inflicted wound from Matt Milano. So I'm not all that mad at the defense as many people are. I'm just not.
Yeah, I mean, you got a tripping call in there that was basically a 7-point tripping call. Like, he did stick his leg out but didn't touch him, so there shouldn't be just be an automatic tripping call there. The situation, the circumstance, that all matters. Like, I don't know. We talked about it all the time. We're basically reviewing penalties at the end of the game in the Detroit game, and here we are, like just you can look at a face mask. You should be able to look at any personal foul. Like, I really truly believe that. And they're starting to look at more and more penalties. That's just a bad call. Like, whatever. He shouldn't have stuck his leg out, but it didn't affect the play. It didn't affect anything. It was 3rd and forever. The Bills got him in 3rd and forever. But yeah, you're right. And then you add in the opening drive touchdown, and then you basically have essentially 2 field goals the rest of the way without the trip.
Yeah. So the run defense wasn't even all that bad either. Right before Quinshon Judkins went down, like, what did he have? Like 2.8 yards per carry. And then same thing with that like other Sanders guy. They had
Malachi Corley on the 30 yards of end arounds. They ran like 4 times.
Yeah. So like you have Malachi Corley, and then you also had Shedeur Sanders end up just escaping out of the pocket and then going for about 40 off of 4 carries as well. As far as running backs are concerned, I think that we ultimately ended up having answers for it as well. So hopefully we have something to say against Philadelphia. But again, like you mentioned earlier, what does this mean to the Buffalo Bills? What does this mean to the Philadelphia Eagles, especially if San Francisco takes down Old Man Rivers tonight? Scott is coming in with a $10 donation, the first super chat of this channel. Look at the hat, dude. Look at that, man. The very first one we have ever received on this channel. Thank you guys so much. We just crossed 1,000 subscribers. A beautiful thing. He says, I'm worried about Josh Allen before halftime. That 20-yard loss. He tweaked his ankle in the press conference. He said he was fine, but I guess they're going to keep an eye on it. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Kev? Based off of what I saw, like based off of like me seeing him like roll out of the pocket, I didn't really notice much of an aggressive limp or anything going into the second half. But we know that dude plays through injuries. He's not going to complain on air. What is your concern level with the health of QB1 and his mobility for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, it looks truly like a lower ankle, a medial lower ankle sprain, based on what everybody's saying. It's like a 1 week injury. I mean, there's a world where you clinch tonight and you can rest them both for both games. We've talked about this last show. People didn't like it. I don't think if the 1 seed's still on the line or the division's still on the line, how do you rest your players? It's just the odds and statistics that you get there. I'm still a belief of like going in and pushing everything full bore has led into some injury problems into these playoff games, and then including the wild card round. So to me, I'm not overly concerned. McDermott talks in 5 minutes. We'll be on air here so we can bring you guys any updates that we hear in the next 5 to 10 minutes from this, but I expect him to be fine. He finished the game and looks good.
Oh yeah. Let me know once he is on. We'll go ahead and live react to that together. So we can unpack what it comes through. But I mean, yeah, like a huge swing and a miss. I am so glad that he was okay going into the second half, but now it kind of goes down into the overall offense of what we saw from this team. Like you said earlier, I was very impressed with the offensive line. An absolute weapon out there, once again, holding Myles Garrett to virtually 0 sacks, if you wanted to count that one. But then afterwards, like things after the whole James Cook collecting over 100, it seemed like the offense tended to stall a little bit going into the second half. From what you saw, what do you think played a role in that? Was that Josh maybe not being close to 100%? Play calling?
Yeah, they started to stack the box. They realized Josh wasn't 100%, and they limited Cook's snap count. Like, let's be honest, they're limiting his most touches ever in a season. And ultimately, they didn't feel they needed to pound him with 40 carries going into the playoffs right here in Cleveland. And in a really wasn't necessarily a no-win situation, but it was in the terms of the team. Like, him being healthy and being fresh is way more important right now down the stretch than these 3 games. So they did need to get the W and towed the line a little bit, but his snap count was at 48%. They clearly knew what they were doing. They were limiting him between 25 and 35 snaps. Like that's was what he was going to get in this game.
He just wanted to do it. He just cracked 100, and then congratulations. That guy is now he's the leading rusher in the NFL.
Till tonight, we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see what Jonathan Taylor has to say about it. And so I don't think that it's going to be a big Phillip Rivers throwing it all over the yard type game.
No.
So we'll see. Yeah. We will see. So the big thing here as well is that a lot of the people that have been hampering down on the reason the Bills suck and why we're not going to be able to win a playoff game this year is due to the fact that we do not have a true boundary wide receiver. A lot of the people that have, spearheaded that argument began running victory laps on X earlier. They're saying, oh, boundary receivers had 2 receptions for 30-something yards. Haha, I told you, Brandon Beane sucks, whatever. Here's my thing, Kev. I've said this a couple of times. I really think that it's almost borderline disrespectful, and it completely takes away from anybody's take by giving Josh Allen the credit that he deserves about being the best quarterback in the National Football League. People have this misconception that he has nothing. I would argue that he has quite a bit. Okay, he currently has the leading rusher in the NFL. I'd say maybe the best running back in the NFL, best offensive line in the NFL by a significant margin. 4 of the 5 guys are number 1 in the league in EPA, minus Spencer Brown, who is 3rd. I thought that he looked relatively well last week. And a tight end room, which is wildly efficient. Let's talk about this for a second. While I agree, I would like for this team to still revisit the trade market for a wide receiver this offseason, maybe even get one early in the draft next year as well, just to add to the roster and make this team even better. I feel like people are like honing in on this too much and thinking that just because we don't have a guy out on the boundary, that this team's expectations should be limited. Talk to me.
Yeah, first of all, did you see Shane Buechele, the Bills' 3rd quarterback, going to the Chiefs to play there?
I did see that. Who the hell was taking snaps for him in the second half of the game? It was Adelman or something.
Chris Oludekon, yeah.
I've never heard of him in my entire life.
Yeah, so they're signing him to the active roster, a guy that they've had there for a little bit. So I just wanted to call that out. And McDermott will be talking here pretty soon. And one of the guys I really like is Ian Horowitz. He puts a lot of analytics and metrics and things that he likes. So to your conversation, he ranks the Bills as the 4th best supporting cast rating, which includes rushing, receiving, pass blocking, run blocking, and everything beside the quarterback.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we just go in these trends and these circles of, okay, we have receivers. Okay, well, what about the offensive line? It sucks. Okay, we don't have a running game. We have Devin Singletary, who's okay. What about the running game? I mean, we just go in these circles of like whatever we don't have is the thing that matters the most. Just like when you don't have Rack and Yak, you're talking about no one gets run after the catch on this roster. Then you get that, and it's like, well, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean that. I just meant some type of separation. I care about separation. Okay, now we care about separation. We don't care about Yak and Rack anymore. So we care about separation, and we care about boundary receivers. We'll get boundary receivers, Dan, and guess what changes? The interior O-line gets worse. Tight end group gets worse. Whatever form of mix match that will happen is then what we'll say. Well, what about our slot? Why do we not have slot receiver Rack guys anymore? So it's lose-lose when these conversations. All you can do is look at the total package. With the Bills are still in the top of the league in most offensive analytics. They still have, like I said, unbiasedly a top 4 unit by their entire offense. You invest money in the offensive line, the running game, slot receivers for a reason. It's winning down the stretch for Joe Brady. I mean, why are we saying that boundary receivers like the Cincinnati Bengals, who have missed the playoffs 3 straight years, or the Dallas Cowboys, who are now missing the playoffs? Why is that more important? Why are we assuming that is the highest thing and that's all we need to talk about like some content creators? It's goofy. There's no reason to press the general manager for coming on your radio show about boundary receivers in a class that he didn't take any, and you're sitting there with not even knowing the players that you wanted to take in this draft anyways, because they all suck. There was nobody out of this draft that was any good at all. It was a stupid conversation and a stupid talking point.
And so I'm trying to think of like one team that's positioned in the AFC playoff picture right now that like you look at. Yeah. And so you look at them and being like, oh, why they are good is because of their boundary receivers. I'm having a very difficult time being able to point one out. I'm having a very It just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. Like you mentioned it. It's the Bengals. It's the Cowboys. I'd probably put the Vikings in that conversation, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see the Vikings. Yeah.
And so look where they are. Maybe, I guess, depending, although that Amon-Ra is more of a slot, Detroit.
Detroit definitely has receivers in general, so they count. Miami, they have two of the best boundary receivers in the league, in my opinion.
Great. Where's Miami? Like my overall point and like how I look at this is that like if you wanted a Jamar Chase on this team, right? Like say randomly, somehow we were able to bring Jamar Chase onto this roster. Like all rules are out the window. We have to bring him in, but we also need to take his contract on. Who were you willing to sacrifice from this squad to make him a player on this team? Are you like willing to walk
People
away
will pluck out the worst contracts, and they'll go Dawson Knox and they'll go Curtis Samuel, and they'll combine all of this together in a fake scenario where they'll pick all their least favorite players and bundle it up and say Jamar Chase. So they would say like, oh, you could do Knox.
Yeah,
sure. Value wise, you could probably get there with Knox and Samuel and Palmer, and I know people don't like Bernard or Rousseau. Pick your guy, and then you're there. The problem is though, like, okay, you don't just get the player for free. So then on top of those players, on top of the cost of the replacements, so you're gonna have low level replacements at all those positions, which people don't seem to care about. And then the asset it would cost to get a guy like Chase, multiple firsts. To talk about asset allocation, then that's what happens. And you turn into the Bengals when your roster is Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, Khalil Shakir.
I mean, like, so my thing is that this roster was built based off of what kind of quarterback Josh Allen is right now. In my opinion, I do see down the road where say that his mobility does start to take a hit, right? Like he gets in like 32, 33 years old. Maybe he's getting a couple of games where he's a bit more banged up. Maybe down the road, I could see this front office transitioning to more of, okay, maybe now we're going to be focusing a bit more on like a true wide receiver number one on the outside. But based off of the formula of what we have right now, I think works the best for Josh. Tight ends, solid offensive line, good run game. And then once his mobility goes out the window, sure, I'm fine with it. Like make a crazy move at the deadline for a stud on the outside.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think that this iteration of Josh Allen will take many different looks throughout time. Like, and this is the iteration where he thought maybe he wanted a more physical body. Like we got to talk about, like, there was about 6 guys in last year's draft that the Bills could have drafted. And they definitely asked the offensive coordinator, who has to take a little heat, and Josh, who do you want on? And Josh admits it. So unless we think that everybody's a liar to push your narrative, Josh Allen said he wants this type of receiver, and he was sending Bean tape of him. So we could all be lying just so that it's, oh, he would have sent, if they would have drafted this player, it would have been the same. Like we can assume, we can like the moves that Bean makes. We can hate him. We can be in the middle. We're just not going to assume that everything that everybody says is a lie just to push a narrative. I'm not going to do that. Josh Allen specifically wanted this player. He said it. He said it before the draft, before they took him. They said it during when they were on the clock, and he said it after. He wanted this player. This is that they wanted to take a swing on, and it doesn't mean that Bean's got to always listen to Josh or whatever. He is going to listen to him when he's talking about his ex receiver. He's going to say, who do you want here? Like we have a couple of guys with equal rating. What kind of player do you want? We have Samuel and we have Shakir. So maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense for McConkey, even though I personally was on your show saying McConkey was my guy.
Yeah, you did want McConkey. Yeah.
The redundancy there did make a little sense to where that doesn't, like we didn't know what Samuel was yet, and Samuel has performed when he's healthy. Like, is that overly valuable? I mean, the Bills let Josh Allen say, no, I want an X guy that maybe could turn into a guy that can make plays on the field. Like that's just what he said he wanted. And that was after the year of losing Davis and Diggs. So it was like, okay, we either go get a third slot type of receiver with Kincaid, really 4, or we finally try to get a boundary receiver, because if in a year where they signed Gabe to a reasonable contract last year, let's just say that maybe he never gets hurt. Maybe he's producing still here on the Bills, but that would have changed their draft plans because they wouldn't have signed Samuel, because they basically gave Samuel the contract they wanted to give Davis. They would have drafted differently in that draft if Davis was still on the roster a year ago.
What are your thoughts on like the merry-go-round though? Like seeing Keon Coleman as a healthy scratch wasn't much of a surprise. Maybe they're trying to for these past couple of games that he was active, maybe they are just trying to showboat him to a potential trade partner this offseason. We saw Gabe Davis was a healthy scratch the week before, but then turn in both of them. Both of them are healthy scratches.
Right.
What was your thought process on that? You will not believe who's in the building right now. Jake's in the building. Jake, here, let me make a camera slot for you, brother. Kev, go off on this.
I mean, I think they're just mixing and matching to see like ultimately what worked for them. Like, I don't hate it. Like, why are we just going to be loyal to any of the receivers who we all hate anyways? So why not see if there's a grouping that works in each game plan? For some reason, the Bills definitely were going in with the run game plan. To me, I don't mind mixing and match them. I don't need to just have the same 5 active just to have them, but they definitely had Shavers pretty active in this game with over 50% of the snaps. He was going to be the one taking the majority with Palmer. They wanted 2 boundary type of receivers in this game. So that's ultimately, I mean, Palmer took 70% of the snaps. So I think that changes week to week. I think that changes based on opponent. It could change as soon as the Eagles game, but that's just what they felt like going into this specific game with keeping them all fresh. And they will choose a final 5, in my opinion, by the wild card round.
By the wild card round, man. Chat, guess, and ask who is your starting spot. First off, Jake, what's going on, man? How's life? I saw you almost got in a fight in Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't get into physical altercations. If you want to come at me, do your stuff, whatever. But it was a hostile crowd there in Cleveland. Let's be real; they're a little bit salty, and I guess we've been there before. I mean, 3-win team. It's looking ugly for.
Yeah, he got really mad at you.
Yeah, he did.
And that was the first
what was
quarter.
His problem?
That was the first quarter. I just got there. I literally, in my live reaction video, I just published this recently, earlier today, and I just entered the row, and this guy was mad. He was looking for something to be mad about, and some people in life are going to be like that. It is what it is. There was more for him to be mad about later in the game. His team fell short on that comeback effort. The Buffalo Bills escaping Cleveland with a win. So, you know what? Brush it off, move forward, on to the next one, on to the Philadelphia Eagles. But we can recap what we witnessed in Cleveland, because that game, it was ugly at times. But the Buffalo Bills, they got the win, that's what matters most at this point.
So did you see that, Kev, the video?
Yes. Yeah. No, I saw his video he posted yesterday.
Yeah,
I saw it on Instagram.
Yeah, dude. What's going on?
He was mad that he was so close to the start of the aisle. It was super weird. Yeah. No, it was
back the F up, dude. I'm a Browns fan, brother.
Back up, man.
Back up, brother. Your dick's in my head right now.
That's a crazy comment. I couldn't believe that.
He said your dick is in my head. What can you do? What can you do? But all right, man. Heart attack game from the Buffalo Bills. Thoughts on this, Jake? Talk to me.
Hey, man, you know, it was kind of like a reverse of what we've been seeing. The Buffalo Bills, that second half team, that was non-existent. That second half team showed up in the first half. The Buffalo Bills, you know, they did not perform in the second half. Almost slipped away from them, but they managed to get the win at the end of the day. James was cooking in that first half. Love to see that. It was just a lot of rushing. It was a boring game, to be realistic, like boring in terms of what we've seen from the Buffalo Bills in the past, but it just showcases another way that this team can win games just by grinding it out, running the ball, wearing down your opponent. But you're going to go up against tougher opponents than the Cleveland Browns. So let's correct some things and move on, because Philadelphia, you know, they've been on a bit of a slippery slope, but they're no joke. They're no joke.
So we never want to think that like our team would ever sleep on an opponent, right? Like you would think that professionals wouldn't, but I always like to remind myself that vast majority of this roster are young men in their lower to mid 20s. And I reflect back on when I was in my lower to mid 20s, and in my eyes, I feel like that it's almost naive to believe that all 53 men on the roster, all of them are taking their film prep leading up into a game seriously. All of them are taking their reps 100% seriously based off of who is on the schedule. Do we think that happens in the NFL every now and again? That some players are just like, yeah, it's the Browns, man. I'm just going to text my girl or something like that while we go through this film review for the next 15 minutes. It's the Browns, and this guy's awful. I'm going to crush him anyway. Kev, are we naive to believe that our team is above And each and every single individual player is above underestimating an opponent going into like each and every
I mean, look, they had a certain game, coaching included. It isn't just the players and execution. They came into a game plan saying, I know how to win this game over a 60-minute stretch. Like, I just don't think they're going to be able to execute at a high enough level. And they were right, honestly, especially on the Browns offensive side. They were not able to execute at an offensive number that was, I mean, look, you had missed field goals, you had 2 interceptions, you had multiple sacks, you had 4 and outs, you had all types of things on the Browns offense. They just did not think they could sustain that long enough. The Bills were just trying to get in and get out. The only thing they probably didn't anticipate was their time of possession being a little bit higher than they wanted, and only 50 offensive snaps. You probably want that a little bit more in your favor because they are the number 1 team in time of possession. Other than that, that was probably similar to the game that you want. And outside of 2 turnover on downs on 4th down, you're expecting at least 10 points there, probably 14. And then you also had a field goal down there too. So you're probably expecting between 10 and 18 more points. And that's marginally the difference there between it being 40 to 20 and 23 to 20. So defensively, that was pretty much how they wanted it to look after this first drive. We went through the drives after their first drive touchdown. And
so I kind of wonder if the sentiment would be the same if Dawson Knox just caught that 4th and 2 for the touchdown. And we were to put up 30 points.
Just mindset wise, it probably does change. Yeah. It probably changed 30 to 20. Probably makes you feel a little bit better, even though fundamentally, like.
Yeah. That or that Dalton Kincaid catch / throw. By the way, was that a catch?
JJ Watt made a great point that, like, why does it matter if you're forward or backwards when you do the same thing? You call that a catch for toe tap swag, but he was in bounds first before it dragged out of bounds.
Yeah. Well, Jake, thoughts on that one? Was that a catch from Dalton Kincaid?
I saw it. I mean, man, that was pretty close. It looked really close on the screen there. Like, honestly, unbiased opinion, it didn't look like a catch just from what I saw at a distance. Like, on the field, looking at it as an observer from my seat, it looks like a catch. But then they show it on the replay up on the Jumbotron, and there, to me, it didn't look like a catch. But, you know, I don't have the analysis breakdown. That's one thing that you don't have at the game is the analysis, the breakdown, the audio, and actually being able to watch it back really as many times as you want. So I didn't see it as a catch, but I'd have to look over it a little bit more to get that conclusive evidence, as they call it.
Yeah, CBS made a great point where he was dragging his foot first and then into the out of bounds. And that's really where they're like, if it's the opposite way, they call it a catch every time. So that was actually a pretty unique perspective because he was going this way rather than your typical toe tap. So it should have been. And they said they just didn't have the best angle to overturn it. But I think the radio analyst or the rules analyst said that it's certainly a catch.
What it looked like to me as well is like on my first looking at the Jumbotron, it looks like no catch. But I do see that, like I saw that little bit of turf or I guess dirt
before he goes out.
Yeah, right. And it's like, okay, that kind of is telling that it signals a catch, but just looking at it.
So you got a couple fifth, then you got the tripping we've already talked about, and the tripping, that the 7-point tripping essentially, and
the tripping call. Yeah,
that's what makes it 23 to 20 rather than 40 to 17 or 37-17 or something.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, hell, dude, we're talking about one tripping penalty, Dawson Knox catching it in the end zone, and Dalton Kincaid actually getting the right call. It would have been 38 to 13. It's a game of inches over here, ladies and gents. It is a game of inches.
But even when you don't get the inches, Dan, and you still win by 3, that's all you're asking.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's a game of inches. We walked away. We survived. And guys are playing for a damn role next year, baby. All right? Like, guys are out there trying to make the team next year. They're trying to make a statement. We'll go from there. Somebody I feel like we didn't give enough credit to, Greg Rousseau. If I were to tell you going into that game that Greg Rousseau would have had more sacks than Myles Garrett, I would have been laughed off of the internet. But that's exactly what happened. 2.5. A guy that has been subject to criticism, a lot of Bills Mafia all season, finally ended up delivering in the sack department. He was looking pretty damn good out there. Kev, thoughts? Greg Rousseau.
I'm on the Greg Rousseau band camp of leading his charge of like doing way more than the sack totals. That's the defensive version of like, oh, he doesn't get enough XYZ on offense. It's super similar. It's pressed 10 pressures yesterday, 33% pressure rate, like, of his snaps. Like, it was insane. Like, he takes over games at times. He's one of the most sound run defenders in the league. Especially he causes havoc when the Bills need it. He causes havoc in the run game, especially late in games in the second half. They still have the Bills as a top 7 run defense in the second half of football games. I mean, these things adjust, like, and they did yesterday. Once again, whatever it was, 18 rushes for the running backs for 70 yards is just not good enough. Even if they get a little Shador running in there, it's just not, to me, that eats away at the passing game. And I know people are like, well, why pass it when you can run it? I mean, Greg Rousseau is a major difference maker in the run game and the passing game. He earned his contract. Like, you expect 10 to 15 sacks, but he's going to end up at his usual 7 to 9. Like, it's really semantics to say if he ends up with 8 sacks, like he does. Are we really that mad that he didn't get that 9th and 10th? Like, we just like to be, it's the same thing as the other side of the argument we just talking about. We just like to get mad at no separation rate or whatever random thing we pull out that is just a buzzword.
And so something I always like pointing out too, like, you name a team in the NFL, I can point out something in which that they're in the bottom third of the league at. Every single team. Rams, Seahawks, the elite squads out there. I can pull up something where they are toward the bottom third ranked.
Everybody's favorite Rams are going to be the 5 seed as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Rams, right? And like, they have struggles in certain areas as well. Otherwise, we would see teams out there winning 48-3. Like, we would be seeing Power 4 conference football versus community.
Stefanski's coaching for a job. He coached well in that kind of environment too. Like, look, he's coaching to either coach the Browns next year or to be a high-level player or a coach that someone would want to pick up immediately in January. Mm-hmm. So, and even my favorite, if Brady goes, like, he's on the short list of guys I would want as my offensive coordinator if he's not a head coach.
Yeah, you did mention that like, he's like your guy.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski. I almost wonder if we're going to like take that same stretch where we promote from within. But then again, I really don't know a candidate. Like, who? Cromer? Him? Maybe?
Their tight ends coach. Obviously, the tight ends have been great. You could go with, he's called plays in the past in terms of you could go with him. But other than that, there's really, you go with an inexperienced quarterbacks coach if you wanted. Like, there's not really anybody there. That's why I think Stefanski's would be at the top of my list. If Rob Boris, who is the Bills tight ends coach, doesn't get it.
Mm-hmm. So one thing about this defense that's been keeping me at least semi-optimistic about going into the playoffs is I understand the run defense could be better. Okay, I totally understand that. But one thing that's making me feel encouraged, did y'all know that we're the 3rd best scoring defense on the road?
They were number 1 in third down going into yesterday. Probably changed because they went 8 for 12 or whatever, 8 for 13.
Yeah. In very hyper specific, but coincidentally, how the Buffalo Bills playoffs are about to emerge, we're the 3rd best road defense in the NFL, which is crazy. I had no idea. I found that out. We are the 4th best second half defense in the NFL, 9.2 points per half, which is incredible. And our secondary is giving opposing quarterbacks the 4th lowest completion percentage in the NFL at 60%.
None of those don't count, Dan, because there's a lot of rushing yards in the first half. So none of that matters.
So none of that matters, although we're talking percentages here. I know that they can hurt us. But I feel optimistic if Buffalo needs to go on a road warrior journey to Santa Clara. We start off against Pittsburgh, then we go into Denver, who definitely looked vulnerable against Jacksonville yesterday, and then we welcome either the Patriots or whoever the hell is left. I'm liking this, man. I'm liking how this defense is set up. I know that we have our share of flaws, but what we're good at, it just so happens to be kind of adjusted to our benefit. Jake, thoughts on this defense going into the playoffs?
I think those are some really interesting stats you just mentioned. I wouldn't have actually thought that without actually like searching for that stat. It's not something I would have thought of. On the road, 3rd best.
Oh, sorry, Jake.
Third best scoring defense on the road, you said?
Yep. 3rd best scoring defense on the road.
And when you're looking at how this playoff push is forming for the Buffalo Bills, that's a really great stat to really actually consider, because right now the Buffalo Bills, it looks like they're going out on the road. It's to be determined what exactly unfolds in the AFC East, but it's trending towards a Patriots AFC East division title. Regardless, you got to feel good about how the Buffalo Bills defense, we mentioned earlier in the season, they get a lot of those timely takeaways late in games, even though there are some issues. This defense is far from perfect, but they come up with some big plays in some big moments. And that's what you saw yesterday with Greg Rousseau. 4th down, 4th quarter, gets a sack. Greg Rousseau, some of these players, I mean, Jordan Poyer coming up with an interception yesterday, Tre'Davious White with an interception last week. So we're getting some of these veteran players that are supposed to be they were cornerstone pieces of this defense at one point, and they're making contributions for this defense right now. So you know who you have at quarterback. You have Josh Allen, number 17, the reigning MVP. If your defense can just get one of those stops, get one of those big turnovers, you're going to be in a great spot to win some of these games moving forward.
Great spot indeed. And everyone can take a giant breath of fresh air per Sean McDermott, who's meeting with the media as we speak. Josh Allen, quote unquote, just sore. Yes, as far as I'm aware of, when asked if he thinks Allen will be available this week. Sean McDermott also said that Jordan Poyer tweaked a hamstring. Linebacker Shaq Thompson has a neck injury. Damn, brother. Had Bernard out there with a couple of rough reps filling in for him at that point. And then Daquan Jones are all day-to-day. So that appears to be the update from Sean. I believe he's still talking to the media. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that needs to be addressed. We have day-to-day. We have Prater is improving. Jordan Phillips is improving. And then we have our 4 guys that are day-to-day. So things could be worse, right, Kev?
Absolutely. They've got a couple of day-to-day injuries. Minus Josh, I expect them all to sit. I would sit every single one of them, unfortunately. Prater and Phillips are improving. That's interesting. I thought that both would be out for longer than that. I think maybe you shut it down. You got to weigh the pros and cons here, but I think a lot of those players, based on how they participate this week in practice, I think you err on the caution side. And I missed her play through everything, but 2 weeks left. What is the ultimate gain in this Philly game where they threw this game away? This game could have meant more for both squads, and it ended up really being a throwaway game. I mean, they're coming in 92% likelihood for the 3 seed in the NFC, which is astronomical for this time of year. They don't have a ton of movement on their end either. So it's a really super bizarre game to where, especially if the Colts lose tonight, I mean, you can go all out for the 5 seed and hope for a Patriots loss. I mean, it's very possible, but I do anticipate the Bills sitting in week 18. And maybe this being a playoff tune-up game this weekend.
Well, so the 6th seed would mean we go to Jacksonville, or the 5th seed would mean we go into Pittsburgh. What excites you more? Both of you. What excites you more for a first matchup? Me, I'm happy that Trevor Lawrence is finally developing after 6 years. All right? I'm glad that he's finally making the right decisions, but I would still be salivating at that matchup in Jacksonville. I just would.
50-50 home squad, too.
Yeah. I would just be salivating against Jacksonville. While I know the Steelers are the butt of everybody's jokes nowadays, I'd rather not see a team that we've played already, especially a team that we've beaten already. I don't know, man. 6 seed for me is kind of my favorite path, to be honest, but we're going to have to beat who's in front of us. Jake, what's more attractive to you? A wild card weekend in Jacksonville or a wild card weekend in Pittsburgh?
Hey, man, I'm all about those sunny destinations, so I'm ready. I'm ready to pack the bags and head to Jacksonville for a wild card week.
That's what I'm talking about. Heading down to Florida, brother. You would be going to the you would be going to the playoff games as well.
Right.
Would you go to the Super Bowl if, for example, they were there?
That's my intention, yes. That's the goal. Hey, man, one game at a time. Let's get it done. But I would prefer to go to Jacksonville, not just for the destination, right? Obviously the
Yeah.
sunshine, but also, as you
It's
mentioned,
a boring city. It's boring. It's not fun.
I'll take the sunshine.
I have friends that live there.
Give me some sunshine.
It's
They got
wildly overrated.
They have a pool in that stadium. I don't know if I'd go in it, but they do.
They do have a pool. I wouldn't recommend it, but yes, they do indeed have a pool. Some great content for you, at least. Kev, more favorable wild card weekend matchup for you. Are we thinking Jacks? Are we thinking Pittsburgh? What are we talking about?
It depends, like, what you're rating. Like, Jacksonville's played well down the stretch, and like you would have a nice weather. You'd probably have a home squad. Like, you would lose all the elements. The exact polar, probably a little better than the Steelers, but ultimately pretty similar. I mean, ultimately, they have different pros and cons of their roster. Can you go into Pittsburgh twice and win by 20? I mean, maybe. But ultimately, I don't think I care enough to pick one or the other. Honestly, I think that if you're not going to beat the Steelers, the Jag, where were you going to go anyways in this? The only difference is the 5 seed. I mean, you could still argue how to beat the Steelers a little bit better. And the final tiebreaker might be that if you win and this same Jags team you're talking about gets knocked off by the Texans or someone else below you, the Chargers or the Broncos, if the Chargers end up winning out. You may have a home game in this whole thing. So that's the only real true benefit to this. And I don't think the game enough matters to me. So I'll take the better seed. So I guess I'll hedge on the Steelers, but Jake's right. In good weather, home squad, like not much, the Bills aren't going to face much pushback. It's not a matter enough for me to care either way, but I'd say the Steelers only because it's the 4-5 game, and you may even still play this Jacksonville team.
Just to add on to Jacksonville.
Go ahead.
It's not just the sunny destination that attracts me. It's also, as you mentioned, Dan, like the Buffalo Bills have already beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers. And not only did they beat the Steelers, but they beat the Steelers on their own home turf. So they'd be extra fired up to have the Bills in that building. And I've noticed that everywhere that the Bills go, it seems that the home crowd is extra fired up for that Josh Allen game. And
certainly true of Houston. It feels like it really does feel like some of these stadiums. That's definitely true. But I agree with you, Jake. On top of I think I mean that not even just the weather. It'd be a home environment ish. The most you can get for a road game.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is something that I learned when I played high school football. Honestly, like it is hard to beat a good team twice. Now, are the Steelers are they really a good team? That's a conversation for
they're a playoff
day,
team.
It's still
if we're getting technical.
Right. Right. Exactly. So it's hard to beat those teams twice a year. So give me the Jets.
Yeah.
Look at the Dolphins game. I mean, that's a pure example. They won't be down like that, but it is always hard to beat these division teams so many times. And the Steelers aren't one, but they're close. The Steelers and the Chiefs are like close to divisional opponents.
Yeah, man. It's getting to a point too where we did get some help, because I feel like that there was only one matchup that I wanted to avoid like the plague, and that was a wild card weekend in Houston. It looks like that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
So that's good. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm pretty sure that their schedule is the Colts and the Titans to finish out the season. So barring some absolute collapse, okay, and Trevor just getting back to Trevor ways, it's hard for me to see this. We had an interesting question come in from Bob. And Bob comes in and he says, I know a few streamers that love to hate on Coach McDermott. Have you all lost faith in McDermott? Or do you like how he has been doing 9 years in? So here's my take on the whole situation. There have been, maybe 3 teams that have won the Lombardi Trophy for the past God knows how long. It's been Andy Reid. It's been the Philadelphia Eagles a couple of times. The Rams once. But it's mostly been Andy Reid.
And then throw in New England, and that's pretty much
and then Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And then Bill Belichick.
So 4.
So sometimes I feel like blame is often given to the easiest target. And the easiest target is typically the head coach. A lot of people don't acknowledge that this team unfortunately ends up hitting the injury bug at the absolute worst possible time at any given moment. Look at our injury report, or look at our inactive players for the past 3 playoff games that we have had to play against the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 years ago, I'm pretty sure we were without Benford. We had A.J. Klein as our starting linebacker filling in for Matt Milano. We had Bernard out. I'm pretty sure we had Taron Johnson out. Like, we had like our entire secondary completely gone. So lack of personnel and blaming awful play on second to third string players, I'm not putting that on the coach. 13 seconds, yeah, I'd probably put that on the coaching gaff. But in my opinion, I think that was one of the only playoff losses where I could genuinely credit this going to the coaching staff. Maybe you could give it in the Bengals game, perhaps, with Ken Dorsey and his 10 plays he just regurgitate over and over again. I'm not so sure. But for me, I feel like why I don't hop on this fire McDermott bandwagon is Kevin has made me a believer that McDermott isn't going anywhere because the Bagulas just love him. And me wasting energy on us getting away or firing McDermott is just a complete and utter waste of time. And I know some people get excited about this up-and-coming coordinator who potentially could take the reins, or you want to raise John Gruden from the grave to come and help Josh Allen finally get over the hump, an offensive-minded head coach. For me, I feel like the reason that Buffalo hasn't gone all the way, in my genuine opinion, has been us hitting the injury bug at the absolute worst possible time. So for me, how much can you genuinely blame Sean McDermott in my eyes? Kev?
Yeah, I mean, he's now approaching top 40 in most wins ever as a head coach. You're talking about a guy who's 6 straight 11-win seasons. He led the Bills to the playoffs and broke the drought with a terrible traded roster. Wasn't even just Tyrod Taylor. It's a terrible roster where they traded Watkins and Darius and a bunch of other players, Darby at the time. We know he can coach to a 9 to 10 win team with not Josh Allen. Like, we know that to be true. Or a rookie, even 6 straight wins, or 6-6 with rookie Josh Allen. Like, we know like what they're capable of quickly. I think the organization and the roster construction, if you want to talk about beams construction, we can talk about the injury bug has been an issue for this roster. I'm a firm believer of you only can play with who you have available. And as you get into the playoffs, this ain't little league anymore, guys. It is always next man up, but it's not who plays for Gabe Davis, especially of a couple of years ago. Is Trent Sherfield. It's just not the same. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have that rapport with Josh. The linebackers off the RVs, hurt linebackers, Rasul Douglas on one knee, Benford off a concussion. And you're talking about that game against the best to ever do it. I'm going to say it. I still think it's Patrick Mahomes, 17-4 in his playoffs. Every other quarterback is a 500 record or worse. Josh Allen is the only one game over 500. What are you supposed to do? Everybody else, because of Mahomes, is 17-4 in the playoffs. And 2 of them were in the Super Bowl. So ultimately, he's 17-2.
And that's actually an insane stat.
17-2 in the AFC.
Like, that's an insane stat, actually. 17 playoff wins, only 4 losses, 2 of which came in the Super Bowl.
In the NFC.
Yeah.
You just ran across a path of that. Even in the NFC doesn't have that path. It's the A, even though their teams could be better if you want to argue that. But in the AFC, you have a truly who's off the picture, and then a couple other good guys in Burrow mixed with Lou Anarumo. I think the second hardest path in this would have been some combination of Lou Anarumo. He knows how to hunt these good quarterbacks. He does. Look at them last week against Seattle. We'll see how they look tonight against San Fran. But Lou Anarumo knows, and he was the one that beat Allen. He was the reason they beat Mahomes. Lou Anarumo is a true quarterback killer, in my opinion. And then you have Mahomes. You don't have to worry about any of that. Mahomes is like, the record is unconscious. Mm-hmm. It's unconscious in AFC games. So what is that? They've won 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So 14-2 in the AFC.
Well, folks, I mean, I think there's no excuses here. So the kryptonite's gone, dude. And the kryptonite is gone, baby. Jake, as our good friend Bob pointed out, a lot of streamers are on the fire McDermott train, okay? I haven't even really heard your thoughts on this topic before. Your thoughts on Sean McDermott, and do you think he's a good coach for this organization?
I think he's a good coach, but I don't think that he's completely immune to criticism.
Yeah,
I mean, we're in year 9 of the Sean McDermott era with the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, they have reached the AFC Championship game twice in that time. I think that Sean McDermott has done a great job installing what is a winning culture for the Buffalo Bills. That's what he did. He ended this long playoff drought once he came in and took over as head coach for the Buffalo Bills. So I think he's done a lot of great things for this organization, laying a foundation really for this team to climb the ladder of success. But with that being said, the ladder of success, there's another level to this. The Bills haven't gotten to the Super Bowl. They haven't won that Super Bowl. And yes, Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, they've been what's been standing in the way. They've been the kryptonite to Josh Allen's Superman. But this year, there is no kryptonite in the playoff picture this year. So, got to get it done. But Sean McDermott, I'll just say this. I think that there are some flaws. It's not perfect. There is no perfect coach in the National Football League, in my opinion. There's really great coaches. Sean McDermott is a really solid coach. I'm not going to give him the great label yet. He's got to get to the Super Bowl. But he's done some great things for the Buffalo Bills organization. And Josh Allen, I feel as if he did have an offensive-minded head coach like a Sean McVay, I think we'd already have that Lombardi trophy. But the availability of a Sean McVay for the Buffalo Bills, that's the issue. When do you go out and get a coach like Sean McVay? And beyond that, I think that personnel has been a bigger issue. So that falls on the shoulders of Brandon Beane, not having in years past. It's the depth with those injuries. You got to have some more depth at these positions. You can't be bringing AJ Klein back off the streets to play against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. So you gotta have this stuff locked down, especially when you have Josh Allen almost at 30 years old. You got to win the big game. You got to win a big ring. You got to do something. So let's see how this season unfolds, and we'll have a conversation about this afterwards.
And he's fourth in win percentage since the 70s.
Yeah, dude, he's doing his thing, man. Get it done. For the love of all that is holy, man. A giant shout out to our good friends over at Picasso's Pizza, the #1 pizza in Western New York. 4 great locations. They're delivering nationwide, folks. If you want a taste of home and you have relocated from Western New York, simply just go to picassospizza.net right here and hit this nationwide button, and then you will be able to order your own slice of Western New York heaven. Shout out to Picasso's Pizza for being a proud partner of the show. And yeah, guys, Christmas is right around the corner. Merry Christmas to the boys, by the way.
Heck yeah.
All right, man. I hope you guys are, lining up with some quality holiday plans. Jake, what do you got to say to the audience before we send them off?
Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. It's been a blast to be here. After this weekend, I've now gone to every road game for the Buffalo Bills this season. It's been a blast. So, I'm trying to be here, trying to make it every show. The travel schedule is a bit crazy, so I make it happen as much as I possibly can. I'm going to be here. I'll be back soon. And I appreciate every single one of you who's been supporting the Bills Bunker, been supporting the Bills Roundtable here. It's an awesome community Bills Mafia has in person and online. It's awesome. And thank you all so much. Be good, do good. God bless. Merry Christmas. And go Bills.
There you go. What do you got, Kev?
I'm just looking forward to the stretch run. All we can say is the kryptonite out of the way. I do 14-2 against the AFC. One of the losses was being back when Brady was still alive or around playing football. So 14-1 since Brady's retirement in the AFC, guys. 1 loss to Burrow and the aforementioned Lou Anarumo. 14-1 in AFC playoff games. Asshole. Can you imagine that?
Asshole.
Since Brady retired?
I know.
Or since Brady switched to the NFC. It's absolutely crazy to me. 14-1. He's lost to nobody but the combo of Burrow and Anarumo. So what are you even supposed to do? And that's what the Bills have ran into, whether it's Sean McDermott, whether it's Josh Allen pressing against one of the best defensive coordinator and Spags to ever do it. There's a lot that is off the path now without Mahomes, without Burrow, and without Lamar Jackson. So
the Chiefs may not even make the playoffs next year too. So don't tell anybody that the window's closed right now, because hey, guys, we might actually go out and get that boundary wide receiver you guys are so obsessed about this offseason. Maybe things change.
And only Allen and Allen and Aaron Rodgers have really won playoff games in this whole thing. So
yeah. Well, Look at that, folks. Anyway, Merry Christmas to each and every single one of you. We appreciate you over here on the Bills Roundtable. Now officially over 1,000 subscribers. Jake, you missed it. 1,000 subs on this channel, dude.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, man. Just a couple of months. Things are great. Things are vibing. Hit that thumbs up.
Let's get to 2, Dan. Let's get to 2 by the new year. Come on, guys.
Dude, you know what? If we end up making a ride to the Super Bowl, my friend, we can get to 5. We could get to 5.
We can get to 5 easily.
I feel like we'll get to 5 easy. Tell a friend, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, and we'll see you Thursday or Friday, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, peace.